The country commemorates this year as a pivotal moment in Philippine history. It's been 150 years since three Filipino priests, Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, collectively known as Gomburza, were publicly executed by Spanish colonizers on charges of subversion. Now, this is the focus of this year's UP Diliman Arts and Culture Festival. Various artistic and cultural projects are lined up this February and March to mark the 150th anniversary of their martyrdom. With us now is Professor Cecilia de la Paz. She's the director of the UPD Office for Initiatives in Culture and the Arts, and also for the project leader of the 2022 UPD Arts and Culture Festival. Good morning, Professor, and thank you for joining us. Professor, we all know how important this event is in our Philippine history. Sabi nga nila, it was a turning point in history, perhaps the match that lit the fuse of the Philippine Revolution. Why did you choose this as the center of this year's UPD Arts and Culture Festival?
It's important to look back at history, and I think more than ever this year, the nation needs to, remember these historical turning points, not because these are just things that needs to be memorized, but to reflect how this consciousness, the idea of a Philippine nation, is now reinterpreted in 2022 due to the pandemic, war and conflict, maybe the continuing poverty, and then climate change. When we call the festival Kamalayan, which means consciousness, we mean a new way of thinking about the Filipino consciousness in today's world, globalized with migration and so on and so forth, right? So we propose that an investigation and exploration of the word Kamalayan, consciousness, along with some small the words within Kamalayan, like alay, which is kind of a service, sacrifice, or offering, and
you find
laya,
the word laya
which
in
is
there as well.
Yes, and also about freedom, which is so important for us today. Needs to be articulated again, so that we can continue the torch, so to speak. Just like
Speaking
what
of these
the
articulations,
19th century
Professor,
propaganda.
what are some of the this year's festivities? What can we expect from this year's festival? What are some of the activities lined up?
Yes, so there will be a combination of creative projects and discussions and talks on Kamalayan. So for today, I'll start with today. We have a webinar on Sining at Kamalayan Filipino, which we have the national artist Virgilio Almario, Ramon Santos, Professor Emeritus Nicanor Chomson, and esteemed scholar, Professor Felipe De Leon Jr., to talk about what are the contemporary ways of looking at Sining at Kamalayan Filipino. Then the Department of History has started their series of Talastasan sa Kasaysayan webinar every Monday from February to March. Then a conference on Bagumbayan, the stories of place and identity, would be also on March. Same with a talk, Kanlungan Talks, on featuring kababaihan, sining Pilipino at komunidad. So these are talks on identity. Then there will be another conference on by the architecture and the allied colleges on living in the Philippines, the ideas of identities, of how do we live in the Philippines. And just like we said earlier, the lexicon unpacked of alay, malay, and laya will be done also on March.
Fantastic,
now for for the creative projects, we have a sound art installation from the College of Fine Arts, a collaborative project between professors. This will be on March 18, together with a special creative program to be done at the Oblation Plaza, although there will be a virtual live streaming done online on this, and a national artist will be there.
Options for everybody to sort of take part in this year's festivities and really sort of awaken this consciousness, Kamalayan. As you said, so many themes here: Kamalayan, Laya, Alay. All of these can be explored via arts and culture. Your social media handles are being flashed on screen, and we can, of course, everybody can log on and get a handle on what kind of activities they can take part in. Professor, thank you so much for joining us this morning. That was Professor De La Paz joining us this morning here on New Day.